Okay, I retired about a little over 10 years ago from Santa Cruz Laboratory down south, and I have no background in salmon at all. Uh, and so I really didn't have a traditional view at all. I just had no idea what to do with them. So I felt like I was taking a black box approach, just treat them as a string of numbers and try to infer what the next number might be. Um, I am familiar with a lot of time series methods, and I'm especially fond of the empirical dynamical modeling that Tanya's talked about. So that colored a lot of my thinking. Let's see. How do we go to there? I had pretty grandiose plans at the beginning before I actually saw any data. I think people know how that works. I I couldn't find timely environmental data and such. Now I have a better idea having seen other people's presentations here, but I didn't know where to find it. I'm just working on my own at home. But I decided that perhaps all I need to know is that 2024 is sort of a closeout year of an El Nino sequence. And so I'm just going to go with that special little piece of knowledge as the entirety of my environmental signal. I'm going to show this in a moment, but the patterns in all these salmon runs changed about 30 years ago. Again, this is something I wasn't fully aware of until I saw it, and it sort of threw a monkey wrench in my plans. After seeing all these things, I really was doubting whether I could do anything useful at all. I almost decided to drop out. But then I said, what the heck, I'll just go ahead and do something really simple. So I feel like I'm providing this context with a really know-nothing, quote, null level of prediction. And I'd like to see how it compares with some very nice methods I've seen presented here. So this is the long time series. And just I'm going to be focusing on the Wood River and the Choco. Back around 1990, something really changed. Has a look of a regime shift, but I really felt that I couldn't trust using the earlier patterns to predict what's going on now. They might be useful, but the possibility that they are misleading was enough to cause me. I just threw them out. So I truncated all my data to post 2000. The good news is it gives me a little more consistent data set. The bad news is it's really short, and it's so short I can't do a whole lot with it. So looking at the Bristol Bay runs, I was really frustrated by not seeing any pattern at all anymore. I couldn't do anything at all with patterns. I couldn't detect any effect of El Ninos. So all that was left was a time trend. So I did a simple log regression to predict 2025 and walked away from it. I'm pretty embarrassed to even present this, but I needed to fill in a number. So that's how I got it. I had a lot more fun with the Fraser runs because there's still a lot of pattern left in those. The Chilco was one of the most difficult runs to predict, judging by the team prediction errors that I show on the left here. And it's one that I did pretty well on. Mine's the little blue dot in the middle. And what I did, and this is sort of representative of my logic all the way through the Fraser system, is by analogy with the previous El Nino event, try to see if there's a similar shape to the fluctuation pattern. Now, unfortunately, this is a special case approach that's only useful for 2024. Whereas everybody else has been looking for general solutions, I have a solution that's only good for predicting 2025 and is no good for anything else until another El Nino perhaps comes along, and that's maybe once a decade. So it's not that useful all in all, I don't think, in general, but it has solved my immediate problem. And that's, I'm only trying to predict 2025. So this is what Choco looked like. First of all, taking a logarithm of run size makes it tractable in terms of stationarity properties and so on. And when I looked at the recent El Nino here, closing out of it, and the one we're about to close out here, I noticed the preceding 3 years were remarkably similar in shape. And thinking in terms of empirical dynamic modeling, I figured, well, let's just go with that shape and assume that the next observation is going to be following a similar pattern. So I assume my next observation would be down here. And so I was getting my predictions down here. There's one other observation that colored this, and that is back here, the parental abundances were relatively high, but in 2025, the parental abundances are pretty low here. So this went down a little farther than this, and I came up with 3 alternative plausible scenarios. He gave me 3 different values. I didn't have any reason to choose one over another, so I just averaged the 3, and that's how I got my my number. And that's really about it. I'm embarrassed by the simplicity of what I've done, and yet I think it has a certain practicality as being useful in a special case. So that's it.